question is, we always after the fact say, oh, the signs were there, we should have done this. There's not a one size fits all, I know that, but is it that people have to speak up earlier? Is it the school has to be more proactive? I'm not trying to dump more on the shoulders of schools, which have enough already on their plates. Is it the parents? Where does this, and let's just deal with the kids that are getting their hands on the guns, let alone, I guess, some of the adults and their family members as well. Where does the first warning, signs of warning have to be, vocalized by? Who's got to say something? This guy's got a problem. Maybe he's not committable, but this person's got a problem. This person needs help.
Well, again, you get into the rights issues, but of course you have to balance the rights of the individual versus the rights of all of the citizens, and I think you have to take a nuanced approach towards making help available, decreasing stigma around seeking care or taking advantage of care that's available. And in addition to that, I think that the idea of early intervention is of primary importance. We're talking about children in schools being encouraged to foster an understanding with one another and develop empathy, and that would include empathy around physical and mental illnesses, and getting treatment and care for those conditions. There are some sorts of things that teachers are encouraged to look out for in the realm of bullying right now. There have been New York State initiatives around that, which are very positive.
Yep.
And perhaps some of those initiatives could point the way to other initiatives.
Doctor, I'm given to oversimplifying on this, but is anybody who walks into a school and opens fire by definition ill because of what they're doing?
Well, what we use as the definitive guide on illness would be the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, and we have a classification of diseases, but that's always a work in progress. I think one way to define mental, and it's very important to use the DSM, but to recognize also its limitations. In one respect, a good definition of needing help would be not functioning well. And certainly that would actually pull almost all of us into the realm of folks who could take advantage of help and in fact decrease stigma as well. Clearly the person who, a perpetrator of such a crime is in need of help in one respect or another, and I think that the systems should be in place to help people get help and care in this society.
Donald,
I'm sorry, I did have one question, Doctor. In a case where sometimes the suspect, we find out later, they're on medication, but they were not taking their medication. Why is it, and certainly we don't want to put this off on all psychiatric patients, because most follow the advice of their doctors and take their medication. Why is it in some cases the patients do not like to take the psychiatric drugs?
Well, there's a lot involved in that in terms of individual choices, and in real-world terms, many of the medications come with a potential for significant side effects. Obviously, we see weight gain as a significant issue, and things related to weight gain like diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and those things in themselves can cause early death. So we have to recognize these things. At the same time, as a practitioner for many years, I can say that it's usually possible to find a good match for any given patient, which would leave them well treated with a minimum risk of side effects, and in many cases no side effects at all. So then it's up to the patient also what he or she thinks. In New York State, we have some legislation for folks who find themselves readmitted to hospitals. Frequently you can seek an AOT order to enforce at least evaluation if a person doesn't keep an appointment.
I just, as a parent, I find myself, I was in the school last night. I've got 2 children in high school, 1 in elementary school, and I find myself getting so angry. I'm so angry at this one especially because it's the day before Newtown. What those parents have to be going through already, and to throw this on top of it is just, it's beyond comprehension. But I'm beginning to get angry as a parent because what effect, doctor, does this have on the children in school? That, in the 70s or 60s, we had to hide under our desks because the Soviets were going to hit us. And now, kids are looking out the classroom door to see if someone's showing up with a gun.
And
what
kids,
effect
by the
does
way,
that have on
they
children?
spoke to the kids in the school. They'd already gone through training for this. Just think about that. Our kids now, Remember when there was an alarm, a bomb alarm? You knew it was around finals or somebody, and somebody called in a fake thing because they didn't want to take the test.
Exactly.
Now it could be real.
Yeah, that's right.
And when the schools come to us and they talk about what improvements they've made in the school, it's usually not the new gymnasium, or it's usually not the new, computer lab.
It's the
Now
double
they
glass
talk
or
about the bulletproof glass, or that the new keypad you got to hit to get into the school. Listen, Adam Lanza, a year later, guy has black tape and garbage bags over his window, and he's got a gun safe in his room, and he only communicates with his mother via email. For all I know, she was troubled too. And then for all my talk, and I'm a huge proponent that we can do better with our gun laws in this country and make it tougher to access, and making it, that there should be universal background checks. I believe in that no matter what. But when somebody says, what would you have done different about Lanza? She bought the guns legally. She decided to put a gun safe in the guy's room that, won't communicate with the outside world. I don't know what to say. And from somebody who, this isn't a statistic, you see people like this that just are having trouble, being interrelated into modern society right now. Do you share the same kind of frustration, or do you say that there are more resources available? We just got to get it to these people. We got to take the stigma off of getting care. That the parents have to be more proactive. What is the message for people like Bill, myself, and all of us who at some point almost throw their hands up and say, "What can you do?"
Well, these are terrible tragedies, and I feel very frustrated when patients don't get care who could really benefit from that care. I think in addition, the point that you're making, Bill, about the survivors of these tragedies and the experience of loss that they have, and the betrayal and the loss of trust, and especially when you're a younger person and you're really calling all of those things into question, and you may not have such a solid foundation to work from, you're just really getting there, it can be tremendously painful and really hurtful over a long period of time. So as a society, we need to work to foster the sense that we have a society that abides by laws, and there are standards that we can use to ensure that we can trust one another. Even if we disagree, this is a whole other realm.
And what we didn't talk on, it didn't, frankly, we were going to touch on this, but given today's events, it's not just the school shootings. We have 30-some-odd thousand deaths at the end of a gun every year, a lot of them suicides, and a lot of them victims of gun violence and acts of passion and tragedy within the walls of homes. And the amount of people that are disturbed, it's not just the people going into a school, and how many of them fall through the cracks. That for a whole nother conversation, but unfortunately, James, yet another one of these realities intruded on that conversation, but I appreciate a few minutes with you tonight.
Thank you
very much. Okay, everyone, when we come back, we're going to switch to the world of politics as we put things in context here today, but there were developments, a lot of them on the regional front. We're going to talk about what those are and what they might mean here for a lot of people with a lot of political futures, maybe beyond their current office. Stay with us.